I am listening to the audio version of Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. And I have a lot to say about the book. If you want to stick around after class, we can talk about that. But in the meantime, I want to tell you about one part of the book. After Matthew, we're on first name basis, has become really famous, he goes to Africa and he's traveling by foot to these really remote villages. But just to keep things simple, he's telling people his name is David and that he's a boxer. So he arrives in this one village and the fighting champion of the village is there, and the whole village turns out and they challenge David, Matthew McConaughey, to fight a wrestling match. And Matthew McConaughey, of course, is not a boxer or a wrestler, but he said, you know, he grew up with two older brothers, and so he had a few moves. He grew up watching wrestling on TV, so he thought he had a few moves. And then he asked himself, would I be able to live with myself if I didn't accept this challenge? And his answer was no. So he accepts the challenge. I don't want to give anything away. He has this wrestling match and he's not really sure what's happening the whole time. So when it's over, he talks to his translator and he said, well, how did I do? Did I win? Did I lose? And the translator says, it is not about win or lose. It is whether you accept the challenge. So I think there's so many times in life when we don't accept a challenge because we think, well, I won't win or I won't be good at that. So I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm not going to do it. And if we're always sitting out, then we never really become better at anything except sitting out and not accepting the challenge. With that said, there are plenty of challenges in our lives that we don't need to take up. Sometimes we already have enough challenges going on. We don't need another one. But today in our yoga practice, you all have been here before, so you know what you've gotten yourselves into. I'm going to throw out a few challenges throughout the practice today, and you can decide if you want to accept the challenge or not. I'll give you some variations of ways to do the challenges as well. So come to a seat, close your eyes, and let's settle in to our breath for a few moments. And just take a few moments of stillness before we begin moving on our mats. Take a few moments to ground and settle in. And with your next few breaths, think about the challenges that you're either facing in your life or you are willingly turning away from. If you're facing those challenges, remember it is not about win or lose. It's whether you accept the challenge. And then once we've accepted it, we do our best. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Palms and fingertips pressing into one another. And make a commitment to just this practice today, to first have the discernment to decide, is this challenge right for me to face in this moment or not? And if you do accept the challenge, make a commitment to do your best. You don't have to do anything perfectly. Practice does not make perfect. Practice just helps us improve. As you exhale, release your hands down. And as you inhale, sit a little taller, lift your head up, and then open your eyes. Okay, friends, if you want to play music, now's the time to get that cranked up. The playlist is in the chat if you want to access that. And then once you're set there, come onto hands and knees on your mat. So a quadruped position. I'm going to do a little bit of wrist opening here, or wrist strengthening. So with your hands on the mat and shoulders right over the wrists, let your fingers be really lax and let your weight press down into your palms and into your wrists. This is actually what we don't want to do when we're bearing weight on our hands. I just want you to see what that feels like. What we want to do is press the finger pads into the floor. That's going to help bring energy into the palms of the hands, and that will help protect the wrists when we're weight bearing on the hands. So keep pressing those finger pads down, almost clawing the mat. And then we're going to circle our shoulders around the wrists 3 times one direction. And then 3 times the other direction. It takes a lot of attention to keep those finger pads pressing down. It's much easier to just relax. Now turn your fingers out to the sides. Make sure your wrists are right under your shoulders still, but fingertips point out to the sides. Really press all those fingertips down and then shift your weight side to side. Over your right arm and over your left arm, back and forth. Keeping that muscle energy in the palms of the hands. After your next time over to the left, come to the middle, point your fingertips back behind. So they might not point all the way back towards your knees, but just do what you can here. And then start to shift your weight back towards your knees. So hips move back towards the heels a little bit, and then come back forward. And we'll keep doing that a few times. We're trying to keep the whole palm of the hand on the mat. If it lifts up a little bit, that's okay. We're trying to stretch the underside of the forearm here, inside of the wrist. And then bring your hands back around to face the front. Come on to fingertips. So this is really going to force you to put that energy into the palms, fingertips pressing into the floor. And then we'll just take 3 circles around one direction. And 3 the other way. And then start to walk your hands back. So we'll be in a camel pose shape. Take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, press the palms together here if you can. Draw your shoulders back, hug your belly in, and just a little bit of a front body opener. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards one another, reach your knuckles down towards the floor, take your gaze up towards the ceiling, open the front body. Take a deep breath in through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And then as you inhale, release. Come back down to hands and knees again. Okay, from hands and knees, hug into your belly. Take your left leg behind you. Oh, sorry about that. Bring that left knee back down to the floor. I got it all wrong. Take your left knee out to the side. So knee will stay bent. See if you can lift that knee up to hip height. And then take the left leg behind you, sole of the foot up towards the ceiling, and your thigh about parallel with the rest of your hip. And then bring your knee down towards the other knee. We're going to make 3 circles around in one direction with that bent knee, 3 circles in the other direction. I want you to be slow and controlled and try to hit all 3 of those points that we just hit. I'll do it with you. Strong belly. Inhale, take your left knee out to the side, back behind you, and then down. 2 more. Try to make a smooth circle while hitting those 3 points. 1 more round in this direction. And then circle in the opposite direction. Knee back behind, out to the side, and then down. Those are your 3 points. 2 more times around. And then stretch that left leg straight back behind you. Inner thigh lifting up towards the ceiling. Belly is strong. Take a breath in. As you exhale, take that left knee out to the side and then tap your left arm, left knee back out to the side and then back behind you. 2 more. Out to the side, tap your arm, out to the side, back behind. 1 more. With that left leg straight back behind you, kick your right foot off the right side of your mat, keep the left leg lifted, take your left arm up into the air. So this is a variation of side plank pose. Take a breath in here, strong belly. Take your left leg straight forward, bring it up till your toes are at the level of your navel, and then take the leg back. 2 more, try to keep the leg lifted, don't let it drop down. And 1 more, bring the leg forward and then bring it back, swing it back behind you, grab your foot. You might want to strap here, open into the front of your hip, draw both shoulders back, squeeze your heel in towards your hip. We're trying to get a little quad stretch here, also stretching the front of the hip. And then release, stretch your leg back, hand down, knee down, exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Come into neutral, strong belly. We'll do all that on the second side. So that means that the right knee goes out to the side, back behind you, and then down towards the floor. 2 more around in this direction. Try to make the circle smooth, but be sure that you hit all 3 points, and then circle in the opposite direction. Knee back behind, out to the side and down. When you finish that third circle, stretch your right leg straight back behind. Turn your inner thigh up towards the ceiling, toes pointing down at the floor. Take a breath in here as you exhale. Bring your right knee out to the side, tap your right arm out to the side, back behind. 2 more. Now with that right leg stretched straight back, kick your left foot off the left side of your mat, take your right arm up into the air, and then 3 times, bring that right foot forward. If you draw a line from your navel straight forward, that's where your toes should be, and then back. 2 more, forward and back. Last one. Now swing that right foot back behind, reach back, grab it, hug your heel in towards your hip, broaden across your chest, open up the front of the right thigh, front of the right hip. And then release, stretch your leg back, hand down, knee down. 1 more time, exhale, cat, and inhale, cow. Come into neutral, and now downward facing dog. Take a big inhale through your nose. Sigh it out through your mouth. Start to walk your feet to the top of your mat. And then fold over your legs here. Hold on to your elbows. Let those elbows reach towards the floor. Let the crown of your head reach towards the floor. How much of a challenge do you need for stretching out your back body here? You can keep a little bend into those legs. First, we need to have the discernment if we're even ready for the challenge, if we even want to take that up. And then secondly, if we decide to do it, then we just do our best. Bring your hands to your hips and inhale, rise up tall. Bring your hands to your heart. Remember your commitment to yourself. Accept the challenges that feel right, and then do your best. Inhale, take your arms up, look up, exhale, fold down, forward bend. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. First challenge coming right up here. Inhale into plank. First option, hold your plank. Second option, 3 push-ups. These can be push-ups from your toes, push-ups from your knees, or remember, you can hold the plank. Let's all return to plank or meet there. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg back and up behind you. Bend your knee and twist open. Open the front of that right hip. Roll your ankle around 3 times. 3 times the other way. And then inhale, stretch your right leg back, square your hip up. Exhale, lunge your right foot up to the top of your mat. We'll come to high crescent pose. So you might watch me here. What we're going to do 3 times is lower the back knee down. So you might tap it down and then lift up to half high mountain, hands at your heart. So what some of us might do is bend the back knee a little bit. Some of us might tap all the way down. Try not to just lower all your weight onto that back knee. So 3 times. Inhale, tap the back knee down. Exhale, half high mountain, hands to your heart. High crescent pose, tap the back knee down. Exhale, half high mountain. One more time, high crescent, tap the back knee down, come up. Half high mountain, hands to your heart. Keep your gaze very steady. Stand onto your right foot. Take the left knee out to the side. Take your foot back behind you and then bring the knee out in front. 2 more. Circling around. Slow, controlled, smooth circle. 1 more. All the way around. Bring your knee up. Take your arms up overhead. Slowly step back to high crescent pose. Exhale, hands to your heart. Twist around to the right. Open your arms apart. So stretch the left fingers towards the floor, right fingers towards the ceiling. Keep the arms in this configuration. Keep the twist. Inhale, lift up, revolved crescent pose. Regular high crescent pose. Lift up, take a little bit of a back bend here. Stay strong in the back leg. Open the front of that left hip. And then lift your torso back upright. 1 more time, tap the back knee down or lower it, come up to half high mountain pose. And now dancer pose. Reach the left foot back, grab it with the left hand or your strap, right arm up, right by your ear. And then exhale, bow forward. Push your foot back into your hand. Lift your chest up, draw your right arm back. And then step back. High crescent pose. Exhale, hands down to the mat. And then 1 leg dog, right leg lifts. Is it right for you to take the 1 leg vinyasa? Only you can answer that. Maybe both feet on the ground. Maybe you say, I'm opting out of this challenge. I'm going to take a child's pose here, or I'm going to stay in downward dog and let my breath course through me. Inhale, right leg back and up behind you. Bend your knee, twist open again. Challenge here is to slowly flip over. Use your core if you want to, yes, be slow as you flip and then lift those hips up. Inhale, come back around, 1 leg dog. Lunge your right foot up to the top of your mat. And then bring your back foot forward too. I messed up a little bit there. That's okay. Both feet together, front of your mat. Inhale, rise up to stand. Exhale, hands to your heart. Second side, inhale, lift up. Exhale, float down. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, downward facing dog. Add strength where you want it here. Come forward into plank. First option, hold the plank. Maybe lift one leg away from the floor for a few breaths, maybe the other leg away from the floor. Second option is push-ups from your toes or your knees. We'll do 3. And then meet in plank pose, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog now, a big breath in, broaden across the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg behind. Bend your knee, twist open. Roll your ankle 3 times one way. 3 times the other way. Inhale, stretch your leg back. Square your hip. Challenge yourself to move your foot to the front of your mat with as little momentum as you can. And then come up to high crescent pose. Left foot in front. Sweep the arms forward and up. 3 times we'll tap the back knee down or bend it to some degree and then come up to half high mountain, hands at the heart. Inhale, tap the back knee. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, high crescent, lower the back knee. Exhale, rise up. One more time, high crescent, tap the back knee down, rise up. Hold right here, hands at the heart. Really push into the left foot, take your gaze forward. Take your right knee out to the side, back behind you, and then out in front. 2 more, smooth circles. And then step back, high crescent pose. Strong in that back leg. Add a back bend here this time, opening up the front of the right hip. Exhale, hands to your heart. Twist around to the left. Bring your left arm, right arm across. Find your twist, and then spread the arms apart. Right fingers down, left fingers up. Keep the twist. Inhale, lift up, revolved crescent pose. And then high crescent pose, stretch up here. One more time, tap the back knee down as you inhale. Exhale, rise up, half high mountain. This time we add dancer. Take the right foot behind, left arm up. Strong core, hinge forward at your hip. Push your foot back. Lift your heart up. Yes, these are good. These are beautiful. And then exhale, gently release, step back to high crescent. And then hands down to the mat. One leg dog, left leg lifts. What is your pleasure on this side? A one leg flow, maybe no flow. Beautiful. From downward dog. Bring your feet to the top of your mat. Fold over your legs. And then inhale, rise up, touch your palms. Exhale, hands to your heart. Bring the inner edges of your big toes together. Heels are just a little bit apart here. Chair pose. Take your arms up overhead. So next challenge is coming up right here. We're going to take drinking bird. First option is to keep your heels on the floor. Second option, which is the challenge, is to lift your heels off the mat. You're just on the balls of the feet and the toe pads. Turn your palms to face forward 3 times. Exhale, bow forward. Reach your palms up to the sky behind you. Inhale, lift the arms and the chest up. Keep the heels lifted, but the hips low. Exhale, float forward. Palms lift behind you. Inhale. lift up. One more time, exhale, fold, palms lift, and then inhale, lift up. Challenge yourself to take your hips a little bit lower here, and then heels to the floor, straighten the legs, forward bend. Inhale, lengthen forward. Take your vinyasa. If you're up for the challenge, you can take those push-ups there from your plank pose. Listen to your body. Is chaturanga even in your practice today? I don't know. You decide what your challenge is. And then from downward facing dog, inhale, right leg back and up. Slowly, knee into nose, pull in, pull in, pull in, and then plant that right foot up between your hands. Come up to warrior two. So we're going to take side angle pose where we point that right elbow forward. So you have a couple of options for what you do with your right hand. One is to bring your right hand to your right hip and then point that right elbow forward. Second option is to bring the right hand behind your back, point the right elbow forward and lower it down. Bring your top arm over your ear. We'll take 3 arm circles backwards. So as you inhale, take that left arm as far back behind you as you can, down by your hip. And then as you exhale, bring it forward over your face and back up. 2 more. Inhale, back and down. Exhale, forward and up. When you finish that 3rd circle, that arm is right up overhead. Take the left arm behind your back. And so if your hand is behind your back, you've got a bind here in side angle pose. If you want a deeper bind, bring that right arm in front of the right leg, reach it back behind you, hook your hands together. You can use a strap to make up the difference between your hands if there is one. Roll your top shoulder open. And then inhale, release the bind, lift up, reverse triangle pose. So straighten that front leg and lean back. Open your front side body as you stretch the right arm back behind you. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, half moon pose. So let's take a breath to find a half moon pose. We're going to move, this will be a challenge. You can stay right here holding the half moon or move that left leg, strong belly. As you inhale, bring the left foot forward and then exhale, take it straight back behind where you started. 2 more. Left foot comes forward out to the side and then back up. Try to keep the leg lifted up to hip height. Stretch the leg back. This time, bend your knee, reach back with your left hand or your strap, grab your foot, and then press your foot into your hand. Draw the left shoulder back. Big opening here across the chest. And then exhale, release back to half moon pose. Left hand to the ground, left foot to the back of the mat, 1 leg dog. Stretch the right leg back and up behind you. 1 leg vinyasa. Remember, these are options here in the practice. All along as we have these options, you have to discern, is this the right thing for me to do? Is it right to take the challenge or take a step back? There you go. From downward facing dog, bring both feet to the top of your mat. Bring the inner edges of the big toes together, heels just slightly apart. Come into chair pose. Lift your heels off the floor. First option, stay right here. Second option, start to slide your hips down until your hips are resting on the backs of your heels. I'll call this double toe sit. There's really not such a pose, but that's what we'll call it. Take a breath in and then slowly with control, lift back up to that chair pose with your heels off the ground. Lower the heels back down and then straighten the legs. Take a little standing back bend here. And then inhale, back up, exhale, hands to your heart. Second side, it begins with chair pose. Lower your hips, lift your heart. First option for drinking bird is to keep your heels on the ground. Second option, much more difficult, lift your heels up, turn your palms to face forward. 3 times, exhale, bow forward, press your palms to the sky. Inhale, lift up, but keep the hips low. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lift. One more, bow forward. Inhale, lift up. Lower your heels to the mat, standing forward bend, straighten the legs, fold over them. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, take your vinyasa, adding strength where you want it. If you even do, be respectful of your body. It's not about winning or losing or doing anything perfectly or getting in more push-ups than anybody else. From downward facing dog, inhale, lift your left leg back and up. Exhale, knee to nose, and then use your core, plant your foot up between your hands. Come up to warrior 2. And then we'll take that front hand and either bring it to the hip with the left elbow pointing forward, or back of the left hand on your behind your hip, point the elbow forward. Come into a variation of side angle pose here. 3 times. Circle your top arm back as you inhale, down by your hip, and then exhale, bring it forward and up. Try to make your circle big. One more around. And then take that top arm around behind your back. You have some variation of binding side angle pose here. Hands behind the back maybe, or reach the left arm under the left leg. Hook your hands together, roll your top shoulder back. And then on an inhale, release the bind, lift up, reverse triangle pose. Straighten the front leg, give it a little bit of a break. Stretch back, left arm near the left ear. Inhale, come back up to warrior 2. Now, half moon pose, standing on your left foot and your left fingers. Get steady in your half moon pose. First option, stay here. The challenge is to bring that right leg out to the side and forward. If you extend the line from your navel out, it should touch your toes, and then take your leg back. 2 more like that. If you lose your balance, don't get mad about it. Just know you're doing your best here. After that 3rd one, take your leg straight back, bend your knee, reach back with your hand, grab your foot. If you don't quite make it, you can use a strap, or just use the muscles on the back of your leg to hug your knee in towards your hip. And then exhale, let it go. Release your foot, take your hand to the mat, step your right foot to the back of your mat, 1 leg dog, left leg lifts to the sky, 1 leg vinyasa. You might even be able to do some push-ups with that left leg lifted. You add the strength where you want it, or not at all. From downward dog, bring your feet to the top of your mat. Bring the big toes together, heels just a little bit apart. Chair pose. You can stay here in this chair pose, building strength, building heat. Second option or challenge, lift the heels up and hold the chair pose. Third option is lower your hips down until your hips touch or get close to the backs of your heels. Use your core to keep you upright. You're just balancing on a very small part of your foot. Take a breath in, exhale, lift back up to chair with the heels lifted, and then heels down to the mat, and then straighten the legs. Take another back bend here. Inhale, back up. Exhale, hands to your heart. One more round. Here we go. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, float down. Inhale, lengthen forward. Take your vinyasa. I'll meet you in downward dog. Add strength, challenges where you want, or not at all. From downward dog, inhale, right leg back and up. Exhale, put your foot up between your hands, however you want, get it up there. Come up to warrior one, root into the back foot, and inhale, lift up. Open up into a back bend here in your warrior one. Think about lifting your chest up, lifting your gaze up. And then exhale, bring your hands to your heart. We're gonna take a standing pigeon pose. So you'll stand on your right leg, cross the left ankle over the top of the right knee, and then send your hips back and down. We'll add a twist here. So twist around to the right. Take your right arm into the air, left hand, or some part of your left arm into the sole of your right foot or left foot as you twist around. Holding that balance, challenging yourself to hold the balance. And then as you inhale, lift back up, hands to your heart, half high mountain pose. So you're standing on your right foot, left knee up to hip height. Take a breath in as you exhale, take that left knee out to the side and then to warrior three, bow forward as you take your left leg back. Hands can remain at your heart, can come to your hips, can stretch back into airplane or straight out in front of you in warrior three. Revolved half moon, lower your left fingers to the floor, reach the right arm to the sky, twist around, and then bend your back knee. Reach back with your right hand. See if you can grab on to that left foot and then push the foot up towards the ceiling as you twist. And then on an inhale, release the pose. Both hands down to the floor. Left foot at the back of the mat. Right leg lifts. One leg flow. If I were actually doing this whole class and not just parts of it, I would be in a child's pose here. You decide what's right for you. We'll begin the second side here from downward dog. Inhale, left leg back and up. On your exhale, plant your foot at the top of your mat. Come into warrior one. Add the back bend, keeping the low belly pulled in and the chest lifting up to the ceiling. On an exhale, lift back up and hands to your heart. Standing pigeon pose. Stand on the left foot, cross the right ankle over the top of the left knee, and send your hips back and down. Maybe a little bit of a challenge here is try to move your hips back more and to lower them down more. And then we add a twist, twisting around to the left, maybe some part of the right arm coming to the sole of the right foot as you twist. And then inhale, come back around, hands to the heart, lift up to half high mountain pose. So standing on the left leg, it's straight, right knee lifted up to hip height. We're gonna slowly move back to warrior three. Take your right knee out to the side and then circle it back behind, bow forward. Warrior three, take your hands where it feels right for you. And then revolved half moon pose, right fingers to the ground, left fingers to the ceiling. Bend your back knee, reach back with your left hand, grab the right foot. Revolved half moon, sugarcane pose, twist, open here. And then exhale, release, foot to the back of the mat, both hands down, one leg dog, left leg lifts, it's your last one leg flow. If you've even been taking them. From downward dog, walk, step, or hop your feet up to the top of your mat. Fold over your legs. And then inhale, rise up, palms touch overhead. Exhale, hands to your heart. Got another challenge for you here. So I'm going to mirror you here, and we'll do this one together. So this is called a toe stand pose. So there are a couple of different ways to do it. We're going to do it in standing pigeon pose. So we'll stand on the right leg, bend that right knee a little bit, cross the left ankle over. And then your challenge is to start to get low here. So we might be able to come all the way down until we're just standing on the ball of the right foot and the right toes. You might need to put your hands on the floor. If your knee and ankle won't support this pose, then your challenge is just to stay here, trying to get your hips a little bit lower. Take your gaze out in front of you, stay steady, and then slowly lower down. If your hands come to the floor, you can still lift them. I would try having a steady gaze, lifting one hand off the floor, and then maybe the other hand comes off the floor. And then you get back up however you can. All right, let's try the second side. So first, stand on both feet. And then shift your weight into your left foot, bend the left knee, cross the right ankle on top. Hands to the heart, and then lower your hips down. So here, I like this pose. It's a multivitamin pose. You're working on balance, you're working on hip opening, you're working on chest opening because you've got a little back bend going. If you want to go down to the toe stand pose, first option is to take your hands to the ground or to blocks. Second option is to keep your hands to your heart. Take your gaze out in front and slowly lower down. Your heel will lift off the floor. So you'll just be on the ball of your foot and your toes. And then maybe you lift one hand up to your heart, maybe the other for a second or two. And then stand on back up however you can. Hands to your heart. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, float down to the mat. Inhale, lengthen forward. And then back to downward dog. If you want to take a vinyasa there with, a bunch of more reps of push-ups or none, you can. We'll meet in downward dog. Okay, bring your right leg into pigeon prep. So you bring that right knee behind and maybe just a little bit wider than your right wrist. And then take a few breaths to align that right shin where you don't have knee pain. and where you're getting the stretch into your outer right hip that feels right for you. And then bow forward. If this does not work for you, if you can't find a way to settle into the pose without knee pain, then you come onto your back and take a reclining pigeon here. If you're in the regular pigeon, start to walk your hands up. Come on to fingertips, making those palms strong, making the hands strong. And then we'll add a quad stretch. So I'm going to challenge you here in the quad stretch. Lean forward, hug your belly in, bend your back knee, reach back with your left hand and grab your foot. You can use a strap here. The challenge in this pose, first, stay right here. This might be plenty. Second, if you can lift your right hand off the mat, take it back and wrap both hands around your foot or your ankle. So either one hand or two hands on your left leg. Exhale, bow forward, pull your heel in with you. Inhale, lift up, push the foot back away from you, lift the chest up. Two more times. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift up, push the foot back. One more. Bow. And then lift. Open across the chest. And then release one or both hands. Step back to downward facing dog. Second side, bring your left leg forward for Pigeon Prep. This can be a really intense pose. It is for me. So take your time to find the right placement for the front leg. If you found it, start to lower down onto your elbows, or you might even walk your hands out in front. If that left knee or your ankle or your low back, somewhere in your hip is just talking to you, you can't get comfortable here, come onto your back, reclining pigeon. Left ankle crossed above the right knee. Start to walk your hands back in, come onto your fingertips. Making those hands strong, fingers strong, still bowing forward a little bit, hug your low belly in and bend your back knee. Reach back with your right hand to grab your right foot or ankle. You can also use a strap here. The challenge here is if your legs are situated well enough, you might be able to pick up your left hand and take it back. Grab on with both hands to the foot or the ankle. On your exhale, bow forward, pull your heel in close to your hip. On your inhale, open up, push the foot back, lift the chest up. Two more. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, lift, push your foot back. And then release, hands down to the mat. Last, downward facing dog. Walk the legs out a little bit, shift the hips side to side. And then lower your knees to the mat. You might want padding under your knees. You can double up your mat or put a blanket or towel under your knees. We'll take another camel pose. So we did a camel tight pose early in the practice. Here's another one. So we can go back to that camel with the hands interlaced behind and lifting the chest up. That's one option. Second challenge is hands on your low back. I like to have my fingertips pointing down. It's easier for my wrists. Some people do this pose with the fingers pointing up. So you might try that, but my wrists feel better with the fingers pointing down. Draw the shoulders back, belly in, and then lift up. Third option is to reach a hand down. If your foot, your shin is right there, grab on. I like to have my fingers on the insides of the ankles and squeeze the inner ankles in as I push my hands out to lift my chest up. And then inhale, lift back up. Exhale, come on to all fours, hands and knees. Exhale, cat. And inhale, cow. And then come onto your back. To counterpose from that camel, we'll move towards halasana. So that's plow pose. To get there, take both legs up into the air. This might be plenty for you, or you might start to bring the legs or the feet above your head. You can use your hands to help support and lift your hips off the ground. If that's not going to work for you, you can also use a little bit of momentum and core strength to lift up. So just like it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it doesn't matter if you get the toes to the floor behind you or not. All that matters is that we're stretching the back body here. And then if you want to move into shoulder stand, if your neck will support shoulder stand, you can start to take the legs back up and really reach up through the soles of the feet. Take your hands onto the backs of your hips, maybe onto your low back, maybe even farther towards your shoulder blades. Any variations of getting upside down here work. Keep pressing the back of your head into the floor. And then begin slowly rolling your back down to the floor, removing your hands, using your core to put on the brakes as the hips come down, and then the legs stretch out onto the mat. Okay. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock across your back. We'll take one twist to each side. Take your arms out to a T. Knees are right over the hips. Shins parallel to the ground. Exhale, take your knees to the right. Take a big inhale through your nose. Sigh out through your mouth. And then inhale, bring your knees back up. And as you exhale, take them to the left. We're done with the challenges of the practice. This is just you and your body and your breath. Inhale, bring your knees back up. And then give a nice squeeze in here. If you want a happy baby pose, you can take that or move straight into Shavasana. Listen to your hips, your legs, your body. Listen to the feedback you're getting. Is your body ready to settle into Shavasana? If you need to put on shirt, jacket, socks, whatever will keep you feeling really comfortable and at ease in your body in corpse pose, start to move there as you're ready. You might need to fast forward the playlist to the last song or just let this one play out. Now that you've landed, or once you've landed on your back, take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Really soften there as you exhale. Do one more of those on your own. And then just breathe in and out of your nose, letting your body settle with each breath, knowing that whatever challenges you took or didn't take, you did your best. You did what was right for you, and then you did your best. Begin to breathe new life into your body. Open up the breath into a deeper inhale, and then just slowly let the exhale leave your body. Start to gently move your body, turn your head side to side, wave your fingers, wave your toes, stretch your arms above your head, lengthen top to bottom, side to side, front to back. And then take your time to come up to a seat. And once you're in your seat, close your eyes, bring your hands to your heart. I hope that as you go through your day, you're able to practice discernment to see if you're ready to pick up a new challenge or if the challenges you already have are plenty. And if you do decide to take on a challenge, know that it's about doing your best, not being the best, not winning, just doing your best. Let's take a moment to collect our energy together and send it across the ether to all of those in need of a little extra care, a little extra love, a little extra kindness today. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.